The American Cotton Shippers Association, also known as AXA, is a trade association primarily made up of cotton merchants. Founded in 1924, AXA members manage the majority of the cotton trade, providing merchandising, delivery logistics, and risk management services to their customers. AXA is grateful to Senators Cindy Hyde-Smith of Mississippi, Katie Britt of Alabama, Roger Marshall of Kansas, and John Boozman of Arkansas for introducing the Buying American Cotton Act of 2025, which will build structural demand for U.S. cotton. AXA urges all cotton industry stakeholders to support this initiative by reaching out to your congressional delegation and requesting their support for this legislation.
Hello again, everyone. Welcome back to Cotton Grower Magazine's Cotton Companion Podcast. I'm Jim Stedman, editor of Cotton Grower, and as always, I'm joined by my good friend and colleague, Beck Barnes. You know, Beck, there's no use continuing to talk about this year's heat and humidity because it's pretty universal from sea to shining sea right now, even up in the north, our northern neighbors up in the Midwest and up in even lovely Willoughby, Ohio. But this year's cotton crop seems to be loving it. We're going to discuss those latest crop conditions here in just a few minutes.
Okay. I mean, I'm happy. I'm happy for the cotton crop. Happy guys are getting good use out of this humidity. But man, for me, Jim, you wake up in the morning, I go to my bay window, I can't see out it because the windows are sweating at 5:45 in the morning. It's just demoralizing.
Yeah.
It's demoralizing when I know that that's what it's going to be. I mean, that's 5:45 dawn. That's the coolest time of the day. So it's only going to get worse from there. Got me yearning for fall time.
Yeah. Well, I noticed, on our seasonal chart in the South, the one that we refer to so often, that we are definitely, on hell's front porch right now.
Yes.
And I can sympathize with you to a certain extent, open the door in the morning to let the dogs out and my glasses fog over. But, hey, we choose to live where we live. So, we'll adapt and we'll survive.
That's true.
Yeah. Well,
Regardless, 42 years I've been dealing with it. I guess I can handle it.
yeah, you got another 42 years with it at least.
Yeah.
You're halfway there.
Yeah.
But, in the midst of this crazy and challenging year in cotton, one thing is certain and certainly needed is continued research on every aspect of cotton production, from the fields to the gins and on up the cotton supply chain. And under current economic conditions, any new information or new developments to help make cotton production more efficient and help protect bottom line is extremely important. So in this episode, we're going to take a look at the current state of cotton research across the belt. And joining us for that discussion in just a few minutes will be Chad Brewer, who's Vice President for Technical Services for the National Cotton Council and Director of the Cotton Foundation. Before we get to that discussion with Chad, we need to take a quick look at some of the news items that have caught our attention since we were with you last. And maybe the most surprising news item came from EPA on June 23rd. The word that the agency has opened a public comment period for proposed registration for 3 end-use dicamba products for post-emergence over-the-top broadleaf weed control in dicamba-tolerant cotton and dicamba-tolerant soybeans. Now, as part of this proposed registration, EPA has developed some new additional mitigations to help minimize impact to certain plant species. Now, I'm going to go through these fairly quickly and fairly generally. These proposed mitigation measures include a single-use maximum application rate of half-pound acid equivalent dicamba per acre, with no more than 2 applications totaling a maximum of 1 pound of these products per acre. An approved drift reduction agent and pH buffering volatility reduction agent is going to have to be added to the tank in higher percentages as temperatures increase. Temperature-dependent application restrictions to manage volatility will also be added, with no applications allowed above 95 degrees Fahrenheit. A 240-foot downwind buffer must be maintained. No aerial applications will be allowed. and users must access and follow any applicable endangered species bulletin from the Bulletins Live 2 web-based system that we've talked about in this program several times. 6 points of runoff erosion mitigation is going to be required in some limitation areas where pesticide exposures may likely impact the continued existence of a listed species. And also, applicators, as usual, must complete additional dicamba-specific training and maintain application records on an annual basis. Personal protective equipment's required. There will be a 24-hour restricted entry interval, and product use will be restricted to a limited number of approved states only. Now, the public comment period for this regarding this proposed registration of the products is now open and will run through August 22nd, 2025. EPA says they are particularly interested in feedback about the temperature-dependent volatility mitigations, the percent of field-treated restrictions, and any other science-backed solutions to manage volatility. Folks, it's an opportunity to get this product technology back into Cotton's toolbox. Now, more information about the products and more information on how to provide feedback, you go online to regulations.gov and look for docket, and I'm going to spell this out, docket ID EPA HQ 0 OPP 2024 0154. And let me go through that again because I think I made a mistake. That's ID EPA HQ 0 OPP, pardon me, 2024 0154. If it's too much for you to remember, go to cottongrower.com and look for our article with additional details and all the links that you'll need to get in touch with EPA and to make your voice heard. Also from the Phytogen Cottonseed folks comes a rare mid-season announcement of 2 new cotton varieties for the 2026 growing season. PHY 357 W3FE and PHY 433 W3FE. Both are broadly adapted upland varieties that have demonstrated high yields and exceptional fiber quality across diverse soil types and irrigation regimes in on-farm and university trials over the past 2 years. Now, PHY 357 W3FE is a medium-tall, early to mid-maturing variety, and PHY 433 W3FE is a medium-tall, mid-maturing variety. Both offer a full suite of built-in protection against yield-robbing pests, including resistance to root knot nematodes, reniform nematodes, and bacterial blight. Now, more information about both of these varieties can be found in an article currently posted at cottongrower.com, or you can certainly contact your local Phytogen field agronomist. And Beck, as always, and as we mentioned as we were leading into this episode, let's take a quick look at the current status of the cotton crop from the most recent USDA Crop Progress Report. And this is from the July 27th report. Squaring's now reported in 80% of the total crop. That's up 9 percentage points in the past week, but still slightly behind the 5-year average for this week. Boll set is reported in 44% of the crop. That's up 11 points in this week. Again, just slightly behind average. Current crop condition, though, is showing 55% of the crop rated good to excellent, 31% fair, and only 14% now in the poor to very poor range. So basically, where we have cotton, it's generally doing pretty well so far right now.
Yeah, happy to hear that the crop's in good shape, Jim. Thanks for all that newsy intel there. But for now, what I want to do is take a moment to remind our cotton consultant audience, really our entire audience, that Cotton Grower is now accepting nominations for the 2025 recipient of the Cotton Consultant of the Year award. Now, for more than 40 years, the award has honored consultants who have made exceptional contributions to the cotton industry, celebrating those who go above and beyond in the areas of customer relations, leadership, and innovation. Now, the nomination deadline is August 15th. You'll find the nomination form and other relevant details online at cottongrower.com/CCOY. That's cottongrower.com/CCOY, as well as on page 21 of the May-June issue of Cotton Grower magazine, which you should have on your desk or in your office or in the gin office right now. So the winner is going to be announced during a special celebration on Friday, February 27, 2026 at the Peabody Hotel in Memphis. That's going to be in conjunction with the annual Mid-South Farm and Gin Show. So we look forward to that. For now, though, let's visit with Chad Brewer. He's the Vice President, Technical Services for the National Cotton Council and the Director of the Cotton Foundation. I personally am so excited to have our next guest with us because I'm just so impressed by the organization that he represents, and that is the Cotton Foundation. And I have personally witnessed the problems that this group at the Cotton Foundation can solve on behalf of the industry. They do it so efficiently, and they are so good at identifying important things and so good at providing solutions, to those important matters for the industry. So here with us is Chad Brewer, Vice President, Technical Services at the National Cotton Council and Executive Director of the Cotton Foundation. Chad, welcome, man. I'm so happy you're with us today.
Hey, thanks, Beck. Thanks for having us on again.
Yeah, we've had you a couple of times before, and it's always enlightening. So yeah, we're excited to do it again. Just to dive right in, Chad, I want to talk a little bit about this year, about 2025. And we've been doing some special content efforts around 2025 with our Cotton Partner Series here at Cotton Grower. And so, I talked to you at the beginning of this year about some of the challenges that our guys were facing. So when growers went to the field, we knew we were going to be looking at reduced acres heading into this year prior to the spring. We knew that the economics were not promising, and in some areas, planned acres, once we got into the season, those planned acres could not get planted due to weather and other factors. And yet here we are, it's mid-July. USDA says basically that the crop is right on schedule with about 54% rated good to excellent and only 17% in that poor to very poor category. Most reports from the field are optimistic for what could be a solid crop. So generally, what are you hearing from your contacts and stakeholders about this 2025 crop?
Yeah, great question because, every year has its own challenges, but 2025 especially has been extremely tough on the producer segment. Beginning with the low prices initially, and then that still continue, but then also the wet weather that you mentioned that really hampered a lot of our planting intentions. So I think the cotton that did get in the ground, I would probably agree with the USDA's assessment that the cotton that was planted is good to excellent. I think that we would probably differ a little bit on our planted acres, and so we're looking forward to seeing how that shakes out. I know that Texas is doing better this year than they have the last couple, but here in the Mid-South and Southeast, the planted acres just really, really took a hit. So I think like I said, I think the crop is doing well, but it's just how many acres are actually out there.
Yeah, boy, Chad, before we started recording, I just told you I wasn't going to ad lib any questions to you, but I got to ad lib one here. It just top of my mind, when we're thinking about the margins regionally, you know, Texas, the Southwest, being able to plant more and getting a timely rain and thus being harvesting more bales than they have the past few years. That's a big marginal increase, right? So, I mean, that could we could have a situation where despite fewer planted acreage in the Mid-South and maybe the Southeast because of weather, we actually produce more cotton this year. Is that accurate?
Well, it's anybody's guess.
Yeah.
And that's if we could figure that out, then maybe we wouldn't be doing podcasts. But that's the big question is just how much is out there and how good is it? And that's something that we wrestle with every day here at the council. So um the gains in the West could offset the losses in the East, but again, we're a long way from having have the pickers and strippers rolling. So um I try to be cautiously optimistic this time of year.
Right, that's a great point. It's July 16 as we podcast here, so I probably should not be counting any chickens. Chad, the reason we got you here, we wanted to talk to you really about research. And we know that from your position there, you got your hands in a lot of things. In your role with the council, you are involved with current cotton research programs from around the country. Even in these tough times for cotton, it makes some of these research programs more important and meaningful than they otherwise might be. Private companies are obviously funding and managing their own research programs, but tell us, how involved is the Cotton Foundation in some of these ongoing industry and university studies?
Well, that's really what we do. So, for those that are unfamiliar with the foundation, the Cotton Foundation is a 501c3. It's a nonprofit that was started in 1955 that allows the allied agribusinesses that at least make a portion of their income from the cotton sector to become involved in funding research and education projects that impact the entire industry. So we're heavily involved in that arena. So, for example, this year we published a request for proposals, which is a new addition to our process this year, and went far and wide with that request. We began accepting those proposals in January and then finished up on July 1st. I was very pleased with the number and quality of proposals we received. They had proposals that went across almost every segment of the industry, and then from a wide geographic base, from the Mid-Atlantic all the way out west. So very, very pleased with that. We received 30 different proposals, and the total ask was about $1 million. And I wish the foundation could fund each and every one of them, because they were very, very, very quality proposals. But we just don't have that type of funds this year. And so our research and education committee met earlier this week and narrowed it down to a short list that we'll recommend to our general body meeting in August. So we've got 10 projects that are reoccurring from last year. And so if our recommendation is approved in August, then we should have a total of 17 general projects, which is phenomenal for the foundation.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, that's a lot. And I've been at that August meeting before when y'all are talking about some of the, so like I say, identifying problems that are popping up out there and, deciding, stuff like these proposals that need funding, those can be the solutions. And the foundation is excellent at directing the funds where they are most needed for the industry. So can you tell me, just for my clarity, Chad, what's the foundation's relationship with Cotton Incorporated and their research efforts?
So Cotton Incorporated, as you well know, and many of our listeners know, is the research and promotion arm that's funded through the Checkoff program that's administered by the Cotton Board. So the research and promotion arm of the industry, being Cotton Incorporated, we communicate with them on a regular basis to make sure we're getting the most efficient use out of the research dollars available to the industry. We don't want to, accidentally double fund a project and therefore reduce that return. So we communicate with Cotton Incorporated regularly to make sure our research interests and expenditures are aligned. And many of the proposals that the Cotton Foundation received but can't fund, we send on to Cotton Incorporated just so that they're aware that these opportunities exist. So we cooperate and collaborate extensively, and as a matter of fact, work together to try to set some of the research priorities for the industry.
It's great discussion. And I mean, having 30 projects proposed just seems almost unreal. But I'm sure in everybody, their project is very, very important. In your opinion, What are some of the most important, maybe most potentially impactful research efforts that are being conducted today that are going to benefit the farmers here in the near future? Maybe, you know, two or three examples of some of the projects that you folks are working with.
Well, the great question. We sat down earlier in the year and tried to outline what are the research priorities that, as we see it, for the industry. And I think if we sit and think about the current state of the industry, um, and if every segment advances a little bit, then we all advance a lot. And that really is really the direction and approach that we took in trying to highlight these research priorities. We've got projects that are specifically dealing with um, pest control, more efficient pest control, all the way to how the end use of the textile, how the textiles are used in the end. So, to highlight some of the three key areas that I would want our listeners to know about. Um, on the producer side, protecting yield and quality is a uh, huge imperative need. But at the same time, getting the most efficient return on or getting the most return on investment for those dollars spent on pest control. So, taking the approach of integrated pest management, we've got some research proposed that will um, begin to take into account the impact of beneficial insects, the predatory insects, on, for instance, plant bug management. So if you can begin to understand how those beneficials interact, you could potentially reduce your pesticide applications, which lowers producer costs and also makes a lighter environmental impact. So um, that's one of the key examples of in that producer segment. We're also looking at things in that segment, seed quality, seedling vigor, other things that we could potentially enhance yield. But we are specifically looking at lowering that bottom, I guess, lowering that input cost for producers is a key thing right now. Another one is ginning efficiency, or even looking at ginning profitability. So research efforts that look at return on investments for our cotton gins, whether it's ginning more efficiently to reduce costs, or adding with that, finding new outlets for cottonseed usage. Perhaps looking at cottonseed usage in beef cattle instead of just dairy cattle. So there's opportunities there. And on the textile side, the foundation recently has begun to fund a project with University of Memphis, which has a really great engineering school, um, looking at microplastic shed by polyester and um, and other synthetic clothing, and not only from the shedding into the water like we normally talk about with laundering, but with the human exposure, maybe perhaps what's the inhalation hazard as you wear the polyester. So they've got some really fascinating research begun there at University of Memphis. So as we look at our research priorities, again, the idea is if everybody advances a little bit, then collectively we'll advance a lot.
Yeah, boy, that's super interesting stuff there. I mean, when you're talking about, reducing input costs, when you're talking seed size a minute ago, Chad, and then also trying to increase profitability for our beleaguered ginners. Boy, that's hot button stuff. I mean, that's we know from gauging what our readers are interested in. We can see what they're clicking on the website. I mean, you got your finger on the pulse of the things that they care about for sure. Was
Yeah, well, they communicate with us quite a bit, and they know what keeps me up at night now.
Yeah, yeah, interesting stuff. So, Chad, we know that there's been some changes at USDA with respect to research this year. Um, can you tell us, in your opinion, just the state of extension-based research for our industry? Are we still in a good place? Are we still in position to provide some real benefit to our cotton farmers going forward?
Yeah, absolutely. The university system has long been a source of information for producers, and that's not going to change anytime soon. We've got some of the best extension personnel in the country here in the Cotton Belt, And, I don't think that any changes within USDA or the administration is really going to impact how the extension personnel do their jobs. They're very high quality, excellent professionals.
Cotton is just, as we all know, and we've all been following here for the last couple of weeks, cotton has just received a boost in economic benefits for growers and other segments of the industry with the passage of the One Big Beautiful Bill Act. And there's some other items set for discussion as I guess what people are saying as the rest of the Farm Bill is going to be wrapped up, hopefully, apparently later this year. How beneficial is all of this going to be for cotton research moving forward?
We were really pleased to see how well cotton was represented in the recent activities, and of course, anytime that we get support to grow more acres, then we're going to have more research dollars, to spend and use on it. So we definitely appreciate all the support we've gotten this far out of the administration and our allies in Washington. So the One Big Beautiful Bill and the forthcoming legislation was definitely a much needed shot in the arm, and we can't thank them enough for partnering with that and hearing the emergency cries, I guess, from their constituency out here in the Cotton Belt.
Very good, Chad. Man, we told you we were going to have you on and ask you some research questions, and then we got you making acreage projections, and we're asking you about political analysis. So we just, man, we appreciate you being open and willing to talk to us, and so insightful with your answers as you always have been. And so, sir, we just appreciate you. We thank you, and best of luck to y'all over there at the council as we get into meeting season.
Well, thanks, Beck and Jim. And anytime y'all swing by, just give me a shout. Happy to visit anytime.
Will do. Thanks, Chad. Appreciate it.
Hey, Chad.
Thank you, guys.
All right. Well, that's it for this episode of the Cotton Companion podcast. Thank you again to Chad Brewer for sharing some good information about some of this year's cotton research programs. And thanks, too, to our continuing sponsor, the American Cotton Shippers Association. As always, we want to thank you, dear listener, for joining us and for your continued support. Now, we hope that you have enjoyed this episode, and if you did like what you've heard, please be sure to spread the word for us. Tell your farming friends and neighbors about the Cotton Companion podcast. Here's where and how they can find us.
You can find the Cotton Companion in 3 easy ways. First, go to cottongrower.com/companion, or simply click the podcast tab at the top of the homepage. Second, subscribe to our channel on iTunes or wherever you find your podcasts these days. And 3, sign up for our weekly e-newsletter, the Cotton Grower e-News, that's delivered to your email inbox every Tuesday morning. You can do that by going to cottongrower.com/subscribe. Also, be sure to follow Cotton Grower on social media. We are at Cotton Grower Mag on Twitter. And on Facebook, you'll find us by searching for Cotton Grower Magazine.
The Cotton Companion podcast is produced by Tyler Hatch and Kim Henderson, our talented colleagues, the world headquarters for Meister Media Worldwide in lovely and sweltering Willoughby, Ohio. I'm Jim Stedman, East Beck Barnes, and we'll be back with you in a few weeks with another episode of the Cotton Companion. Until then, everybody stay cool and stay safe.
'Cause God made me a farmer. Yeah, he works and he works and he works and he works all day. God made a farmer.